guys handling this rotation? You get a deep rotation, obviously. How are the guys handling all that?
Yeah, well, and they understand it's the competition's awesome. It keeps practices tempo up, and they know to play they got to produce. And so the competition is the greatest thing you can have in a room.
Does there become a point where you feel like you have to tailor things down in terms of your rotation a little bit?
We'll see. Right now, they're all doing they're all doing things really well. So we'll kind of see as we go along. But you like to narrow it down, but you never know.
You mentioned you like to narrow it down, but everyone is like a little bit different in that group. So, I mean, are we going to see everyone pretty much all season long in that group?
I don't know about that. I know this week you probably will, just because they're all doing some things nice. I mean, they're practicing hard. It's hard to take kids' playing time away when he's doing everything you ask him to do. And so it's a great problem to have. I said that for years. You can't just have one. I mean, if you want to have, a balanced rushing attack and a good rushing attack, you have to have more than one guy. And so right now we have, 5, 6 that we feel comfortable with.
What will be the determining factor that gets one guy maybe ahead of the next?
Production. A guy that just is hot. Like CJ was hot last week in the second half, so he played a little bit more.
So you're putting the guys through some pass protection drills. How much of a priority is that from your guys?
Huge. A year ago, I don't know how much of a priority it was, but as long as I'm coaching, they're going to learn how to protect the quarterback. And I'm giving them credit. They've done an unbelievable job so far this year. But again, we got a bunch of games left to play, and we got teams that are going to pressure the heck out of us. So they have to protect if they can't protect the quarterback, they're not going to play. And so they understand that part of it too.
Like, where do you rank that in terms of the different skills that you value?
Say that again now?
In terms of the different skills that guys have and that you value, how close to the top is that in terms of a skill that you need your guys to have?
Yeah, right now they came light years, and that's what I'm looking for. It's a fundamental technique. Some people think it's a muscle technique. It's just a fundamental technique. If fundamentals are correct, you can win almost every battle. But they're going to have to do that to play. Have to.
What does a guy like Travis Dye added to this running back group so far?
Well, he's just so dynamic. He's a freshman, but his maturity, he's a lot more mature than a freshman. And so, the mistakes he makes are freshman mistakes, but that's gone now. He's not a freshman anymore. We're playing games. So he's got to kind of move forward, move on, and stop making those mistakes. And he did a great job on Saturday.
Where do you see some of that maturity kind of shining through for him so far?
Just picking up the offense. He doesn't get rattled very easily. He's a pretty composed kid. And so that's good to see in a freshman.
Coach, first of all, two games now to see how the new running game's going. How happy are you with it?
Yeah, very happy. Yeah, very happy. We're asking them to run a little bit different than they have in the past. It's not as much feast and famine. We don't want a bunch of tackles for losses. So we're more, downhill in between the tackles, 10, 12, 14, and we'll bust the big ones. But it's kind of a different mentality than they've had in the past, I think.
When you look at San Jose State, what stands out to you?
Their defense has played so many plays, 100 plays I think in their opener, and 97 plays against Wazoo. That's a lot of plays. You watch them early in games, they're dang good. As they get worn down and play 100 snaps in a game, it just wears on them. And I don't think they have a whole lot of depth, but they play hard. And one thing they do is they tackle well. It's just impressive to watch them tackle.
Coach Cristobal has kind of mentioned the personnel disparity in some of these out-of-conference games. Does that make it easier or harder for you to kind of evaluate some of your twos where the running backs are concerned?
Yeah, it's a faceless opponent. We're more looking how they produce and how they do, how well they're doing what we're coaching them to do. So it doesn't really matter who you're playing. It's are they doing everything correctly.
So that's kind of on the assumption that you'd be willing to dip into this much depth if it was a top 15 team or a team like San Jose State?
Oh, absolutely. No question. Yeah.
Coach was talking to us after the game about protection last week, and he got a little technical. It went over my head to some extent, but it sounded like he was saying you left your running backs in a little bit more early in the game to adjust to some things they were doing, and the protection overall really improved.
Right.
Last week.
When you don't know what a team's going to give you early in the game, your running backs have to kind of be your saving grace, back there. But once you kind of get a tip on what they're doing, you can get your backs out a little bit more. Second half, we got them out a bunch. But in the first half, they're kind of the last line of defense until we figure out what we're getting from a defense.
How'd they handle all that?
Great.
That
Yeah. Very good on the sidelines. They do a good job. Coach Mirabal, I'm talking to him during the game, and the adjustments happen. They happen immediately, and there's not a lot of confusion on what we're trying to get adjusted.
What was the process of getting guys comfortable with how much you stress that part of the game? I mean, did that feel new to them when you first got here?
Work in progress.
Yeah.
Still doing it.
Yeah.
You have to understand it's a big deal. You have to protect the quarterback. You have to.